It's been an eventful week for Luton Town Football Club, the most eventful club going around at the moment. And, well, Jimbo missed it all because he went on holiday. What a week you chose to go on holiday.
I had some fun in the sunshine rain, didn't I?
You did indeed. Reunions, breakups, comings, goings, and everything else in between has all happened in the last week. And, well, we'll cover it all after this intro.
For me, it's the people and the spirit of the people as well.
I love this town. I love this town. I love this town. You know what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got this massive soul.
We're Luton people, and that's what we care about.
Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the longest running Luton Town podcast, sponsored this season by Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. And we saw some of that fulfilment on Tuesday night, James, at Loftus Road, which we'll come on to shortly. Well, what we'll do with this podcast, as James has been away, and I had some things to do over the bank holiday weekend, we will cover the week that was at Luton Town. We'll do it in chronological order because there were some concerns in the early stages of it that kind of got put to bed a little bit last night, and we'll go through all of it. I guess we should start. Well, generally you start right at the beginning, don't you? Pretty much the day you went on holiday, Liam Walsh, the signing was officially confirmed. We spoke a lot about him in the review of the Portsmouth. I'm going to have to get these games in my right order now.
Yeah.
Portsmouth podcast. But he signed on a free transfer earlier on in the week and, was straight into the squad for the game against Preston. And then 24 hours later, the worst kept secret in football was actually revealed that Mark McGuinness signed. And from there, I think things were kind of getting optimistic. I think people who were calling for transfers, rightly so, they were kind of happy with the transfer activity, particularly McGuinness. I still think the jury was out on Walsh at the time. But also, McGuinness felt like he felt like a kind of, I don't want to say the word statement signing, but it seemed to appease everyone. And then what really appeased everyone was later that week, German defensive midfielder from Mainz, Tom Krause, signed on loan, season-long loan, first ever German to play for Luton Town. And it all felt much more positive going towards the Preston game. Three ins. At that stage, no one out, and no one of any note anyway. And, the good times were seemingly coming back.
You're going Krause, are you, rather than Kraus as a pronunciation?
Well, I mean, is it tomato or tomato? Okay, we'll go Kraus.
If I get our ducks in a row on this.
We'll go Kraus.
It's got that strange symbol in it, though.
He does, yeah.
But yeah.
I still haven't worked out how to get that on the keyboard.
I'll tell you. No, that's what I'm really most excited about, I think, because of his age. And there was talk that it might be a permanent deal, but I think, if he performs well, does well and likes it, then he's probably going to be. That doesn't make no secret. So, yeah, I think it's a really good move, and he's creative. He's defensive, but if you've seen his clips as well, he can create as well, which is key here because we need as much going forward as possible. After the QPR game didn't create the stuff, but do need to stick it in back. But they need that creativity, and Walsh and Krause can provide that, and obviously Canberra has now back on the scene, so that he can provide some stability in front of the defence, whoever that may be, because it seems, it's like changing the guard back there.
Yep, it absolutely is. We'll come on to the Mengi situation later in the podcast. So these three players, we knew that Krause wasn't going to be involved at Preston. He's picked up an injury. There's initiations and getting involved with your teammates, but that's taking it a little bit too far, really, wasn't it? But and I really like the look of that signing. That is a true Luton signing. Point to prove, hungry to improve, young enough age, played for Germany at all of the age levels. You don't play for a German side at all the age levels if you can't handle the football and go well with it. this is a real good signing. The only thing you would kind of say is don't be too good so that we can't then sign you at the end of the season, or, what might be a 5 million deal now, for example, I'm just throwing numbers out there, suddenly becomes 25 million because he's looked fantastic. Of course, if he leads us to the Premier League, that will all become an irrelevance anyway. But really looking forward to seeing him going. And that the interview that he gave on the club socials and everything, you could tell he was almost the sort of driving force behind the move. He really wants to play in England. He really wants to play in front of a passionate set of fans. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got some good pedigree as well. He played a whole season for Carabao loans, played for Roots pretty much the whole last season. Finds himself out of favour this season under their manager. So it seems the right fit for everybody. And yeah, it's a really exciting one because I think the assumption was, or has been for a while, that Stephen's net cast really only over the British Isles, and there's only so much you can do there. But I think the rumour, what the Oscar Zambrano rumour did last year, though it's never going to happen, showed us that they're casting their net wider, which needs to happen. And, it's what Brighton do very well. They go and pick up a player for nothing from nowhere, and then all of a sudden he's Alexis McAllister winning the World Cup, that sort of thing. So that needs to happen, I think. And the deals probably are a lot better off when you go abroad as well. So yeah, it's a really fantastic signing. I really hope that he settles in well and can do anything that he has promised himself and what Edwards has talked about already. But yeah, it fits the profile perfect.
Yeah, really does. So we look forward to seeing him fit. The general consensus is that he'll be fine for Millwall after the international break, but he might need some game time. So, it may be Sheffield Wednesday, maybe Plymouth. Obviously going out the Carabao Cup certainly hasn't helped because he'd have had a third round tie that he could definitely have got involved with. But c'est la vie. And then came Preston. Hopes were high going to Preston. I was confident that we would win. I was confident that we would win before those signings were made. I didn't think much of Preston. I still don't think much to Preston for what I saw on the day. I didn't see a new manager bounce. I didn't see a particularly great side. I saw a flat 3 stands around us. There was no atmosphere at all. It's almost like they were resigned to their fate, really, and waiting for us to beat them. Only we couldn't, or we didn't. And there were a lot, I have to say, if we'd done this podcast like we normally do, even on the Sunday night, I would still have been mightily miffed because I had a foul mood after that game. Because there was so much to take from the Portsmouth performance, the defensive display in particular, the change of formation, the hope that it offered, the 3 signings that come along. Hopes were really raised. And then to put that performance in, which, don't get me wrong, we're not talking hide-at-home levels of performance. It's not that drastic. But after a positive week where everything was looking rosier in the garden, to put that performance in felt like a right kick in the nuts. And I wouldn't say I didn't see it coming because, we've not performed well out of the gate this season. That's nothing here. We haven't performed well out of the gate for a long time now. Maybe that's the one thing over all of this that needs to be addressed down the line in the future. The one thing that did happen at Preston, that again, we had lots of the ball. However, unlike at Portsmouth in particular in that first half an hour, it was so slow. It was so ponderous. It was a hot day, don't get me wrong. No hotter than Portsmouth, certainly not as hot as the last time Preston were down here. It was passing around the back. We went back to 3 at the back. That was disappointing to start off with. For some god-unknown reason, our best player of the first 2 games, Ruel Waters, was sat on a bench to start off this one. Chieo was at right wing back. Hasn't really ever convinced at right wing back, and is obviously not going to convince them now that he's disappeared. But the build-up was really slow. No, we did get in behind them a couple of times, and that final ball was off, and then so that was disappointing. And then they took the lead, and really, really soft goal. McGuinness gets outpaced. That's going to happen. That's just the way it is. The geezer ain't, he's not Usain Bolt. He's a proper old school second half, and he showed that in the second half. And I thought he had a really good debut apart from the point that mattered. No one in midfield tracks the geezer who scores. He gets a simple ball put in the back of the net. That was their first look at goal. And largely it was their only genuine look at goal in the whole game. And you're kind of like, whilst we didn't have a head of steam at that point, we were on the front foot, we were getting in behind, we weren't creating anything once we got there. But you kind of felt a 0-0, we were going to go on. We were going to score at some point, and then just the life just went out of everything. And it was so disappointing because, like I say, there was no like, you know, at kickoff, you know, when they introduce a new manager, usually there's there was none of that. It was flat. It was dead.
Well, it's poor.
Well, there is that. There is that. But do you know what I mean? There was no bounce. I mean, if that's the best Preston are playing, they've got problems. And I know they put 4 past Harrogate last night and all of that. But we didn't lose to a good side. We lost to a side that I would be amazed if they're not in the bottom half of the table. And it just felt, like I said, it just felt like a kick in the nuts.
I feel like, because at that point I was on the poolside in Lanzarote with a cerveza watching on my phone.
And let me tell you, I was getting more and more jealous with every passing minute.
I mean, I watched it, but you don't get the same sense of the game. So I feel like I should be asking you questions today. So where did it start to go wrong?
The slowness in the play. We had so much of the ball. Baptiste had a lot of the ball. I mean, the back three, every time. I thought Amari Bell had a good game, right? But every time he got it, it stopped. And this the Preston side, their aim really looked like it was to keep a clean sheet. So we let them get back into their positions, and then we struggled. I mean, for whatever reason it was, Chieo just wasn't going past the Blake down the right-hand side. So everything had to come down the left-hand side. Alfie did well, Chont did well, but it was just 2-1 paced. And then Edwards made 5 changes, which I applaud him for. Not one was a different change. It was all like for like, which was concerning. I fully expected at least one of the changes to be for a centre-back. And by this time, they've taken Will Keane, the goal scorer, off. I mean, they took him off so aggressively, he's disappeared to West Brom in the intervening time. So they've taken the goal scorer off. They've left one striker more. But really and truly, they had no intent to go and get a second unless they caught us on a counter-attack. So why we left 3 centre-halves on the pitch baffled me. At least Royal Waters had come on by this point in the last half an hour. Near enough, straight away, he was straight past the left-back, getting the ball, getting it down to the byline, getting balls into the box. They all have to improve the balls in the box. We have to point that out. But ultimately, we had 17 shots. Now, I know only 4 of them were on target. Therein lies a massive problem. And to be fair, of the 4 that were on target, only a save from Elijah in the second half was what I would class as out of the ordinary. And even then, a decent championship keeper should be saving that. So we needed to get some tempo. We need to get Morris in the game. That's the one thing. When we played in a back 5, we haven't got him in the game at all. We've moved to the 4. He's been a bit more in the game. Okay, he came off against Portsmouth, but I'm talking Tuesday night in particular. He's more in the game. But he hasn't been in the game at all in those first couple of games. He was anonymous against Burnley largely, and he was so anonymous at Preston, it was untrue. So there were a couple of concerns. And then again, we highlighted about that back 4 at Portsmouth. To go back to a back 5 against a side who looked like they were there for the taking. They didn't look a special side. Chalk and cheese to Burnley and Preston, let's put it that way. Bumpy. And it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that formation along defence, it does baffle me as well, because he's made a big thing at Leeds about wanting to play fast, attacking football. It's one thing to go away to a really big team. Say if you're going to Burnley and you stick 5 there, you could maybe understand it, couldn't you? But a Preston side that hadn't scored in 7 games, with a new manager, so new ideas, you never know. Could be the bounce, could go the other way. That feels to me like you do a 4-man defence and you let the attackers go free. And you've talked a lot about 4-3-3 and how you think that would be the way they move, and it still may be, because players are coming back now, and it may have been needs must, but yeah, missed opportunity.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, we can't just come away with all negatives over Preston. There were positives. Martin McGuinness in particular. Okay, got done for the first goal. Again, that's asking. A back 3, to do what it, what he can't do. Really and truly, Mengi should have been there and McGuinness in the middle, but I mean, that's by the by now, based on the rumours and things. But he had a really good game. He put a couple of really good blocks in the second half. James Shea saved us a couple of times. There were a couple of through balls that I'm convinced Kaminski wouldn't have come for. So Shea did and smothered them just at the goalkeeper's feet in the way that Shea does. And then Liam Walsh, we saw him for about 22 minutes. I think he come on smack bang in the middle of the second half. I mean, Jesus Christ, we've got a footballer there. If we keep him fit, you can tell he's come through the same Everton academy that Ross Barkley's come through. Now, he hasn't got the physical stature and he hasn't got the sort of athletic ability of Ross Barkley, but he has definitely got the same passing ability as Ross Barkley. Don't have any problem with that, and he can keep hold of the football. And he's got that scouse-like nuggety tackle about him as well. I really like this guy. And I thought in just the 25 minutes that we saw from him, although he couldn't open anything up, that was because Preston had just shot him shot by this point. But I really liked the look of him. So there were positives, and we did create 17 shots. And whilst I wasn't, when I heard Rum's post-match interview, I was like, I know what's he talking about, because I was so hacked off with the whole day, really. I could kind of see where, but at the same time, I wasn't sat in that away end thinking Courtney equalises imminent here. We're going to create that golden chance and we're going to score in a minute. I didn't get that feel for all that we had of the ball. There was a lot of kind of huffing and puffing and nothing really happened. And then the Messiah, Joe Taylor, came on. I mean, I've seen fireworks fizzle out quicker than what he did. It all just added up to an afternoon that just really knocked me right off.
Yeah, and I think there's one thing that perhaps we haven't talked about much as well, for me as well. It's the constant conceding of the first goal. For a team that clearly is not at full confidence, and that's understandable because you haven't won for 21 games now. Someone did a calculation, do you something for 149 days, and immediately after that, this is summer. But it's a long time to go without a win, and it's a confidence thing. After the Burnley game at Kenilworth Road, Scott Parker was on the TV, and then a booth they have towards Kenilworth Road and talking about how important it was for that team, who were used to losing, to turn it around. And they did emphatically. And now it feels like every time Luton concede a goal, it's like, well, here we go again. It just adds to the problem, doesn't it? I do wonder if they can stop that, score first, whether the floodgates will open a little more. It remains to be seen, but it is a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. As Luton Town forgotten how to win, you bet your ass we've forgotten how to win. They say winning's a habit, don't they? But losing is a habit as well, and it's a habit that we've got ourselves into. I mean, I don't want to harp on about it, but the Kaminski red card is starting to get more and more and more significant, because we would have won that game at Portsmouth had that red card not have happened. We were so on top that something would have gone in at some point. And then you're kind of fighting for a 3 points, or should be a 3 points. You're battling hard, and credit to us for battling hard for that point. But it's a game, the second game of the season, you could have won and maybe started off on a little roll, because fixtures are still kind right now. There isn't we're not going to play a team that everyone thinks is going to be in or around the top six until Sheffield United in October. We've got a nice run of fixtures here, but we've forgotten how to beat these teams, and that's exactly how it played out. And the longer it went on against Preston, I mean, I've got to be honest, we could still be there now. I didn't see the equaliser coming. I really didn't. The other concern in that game, I think it was 13 corners, all the same corner, not Alfie's game, pulverised on social media for his delivery. I'm not convinced there's anything wrong with the delivery. The two issues I have with it, first of all, we've gone back into the land of the giants with hardly any giants go with ourselves, whereas when you're in the Premier League, most of the defenders are of a ball-playing technical side of things rather than your sort of standout giant ones, aren't they? But also, we haven't got a set-piece coach now, or at least an official one now that Alan McCormack's gone. Are we focusing on other things and not focusing on the corners? Ultimately, he put the ball in the box into an area where he could genuinely say, look, why is someone not attacking that? It wasn't like he took 13 corners that whizzed out for a throw-in on the other side or went straight behind for a goal kick or straight in the goalkeeper's arms or anything like that. They were all there to be won. Unfortunately, we just didn't have the high two in it, apart from one to when McGuinness got a downward header on target, kind of tame save. But where's the changing of things? Where's the going short and changing the angles? Where's the chipping it to the edge of the box? Just do something to make them think that the next time we get a corner, and Luton are going to get a shed load of corners this season, change it up a bit. Just make them think the next time, oh, they might do something different here. Whereas by the time corner 13 came, I mean, they basically stuck a little cross on the pitch, knowing exactly where the ball was going to land, and they just had their tallest players there ready to head it away.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen of Preston in the Championship years of late, whacking the ball in the box is not your best bet, is it, really? Because they are a big side, or they have traditionally been a big side. So, yeah, I didn't feel that was the best route either. It was going to have to be turning them on their heels and getting down to the byline and then crossing in, really, something not set or something like that, but or having the wherewithal to play through in a way that Clark did a couple of times at Fratton Park. So, yeah, it did feel late from what I saw. And I mean, I was down some miles away, but I was thinking it's never going in.
No, it really wasn't. And yeah, like I say, that was disappointing because the week building up to it had been so positive. And then afterwards, Rob quite rightly says we can expect changes at QPR. I think everyone expected changes at QPR just because we're playing them again on Friday night. Then he names the team at QPR, and you're like, they've put the Friday night caption out. It's the first team here enough. There were 5 changes, but 2 of those, or certainly one of those, in terms of Kaminski, is a first choice player coming back. Presumably he needs game time because he only played 1 or 2 of the pre-season friendlies. I'm guessing that's why they've done it. I don't think it suggests that Shea's the number 1 goalkeeper now, but I mean, based on the QPR goal, who knows? But beforehand, it became pretty obvious that Chieo Ogbene was on his way. He was only confirmed on Wednesday, but there were lots of rumours doing the rounds. He'd send his goodbyes to the football club, turned to his teammates ahead of that, and he wasn't in the squad and wasn't anywhere to be seen. So sort of Chio's gone. But I have to say, bank that cash, Gary, because we've done a bit of burglary there. I mean, 8 million quid for a geezer that we signed on a free 15 months ago, Lou. I love Chieo. Top bloke. Yeah. As fast as anything, but so is Usain Bolt, and you wouldn't exactly put him in your team to, his end product, particularly since that injury, hasn't been there. To get 8 million for him, I think it's fantastic business. For me, it was a no-brainer. When I heard the fee, of course it's undisclosed, but so many journalists, with a Premier League club involved, so many journalists have pulled, have announced it, and they're all of a reputable status. So I think we can trust it that it is 8 million as a deal. That doesn't necessarily mean we've got it all in one go, but either way, don't think anyone can say we should be turning that down.
No, absolutely not. I mean, when I heard of the interest, I was like, my reaction was nothing really. It was a bit like, huh, really? Because yeah, I like it. I liked him as a player. I mean, he came and he had all that pace and he used it so effectively. There was nothing complicated. It's like, boom, I'm going to knock this by through and run, get there. And since the injury, and brought it up in the last podcast and all this, that it just hasn't been the same. He hasn't had that, whether he's been told not to, or with a hamstring injury, if you're a pace player, that's your main weapon. Whether you're worried about it pinging again, but there was none of that. No attempt to even try and do that. And then you get to the point of where you're talking about his final delivery, and he got 4 goals in the Premier League. That's still quite good, I suppose, in the Premier League for not a striker, but you'd be expecting to weigh in with the assists and the goals and stuff from the 3 starts. Maybe the formation didn't work, back. It's not been his forte. So, he's 27 years old. To get 8 million, I know people should win that a lot more. But I think that is daylight robbery, really, as well. And I wish him well.
Absolutely.
I really wonder whether he goes to Ipswich and he's a first team player like he was at Luton. When he was fit, he was first on the team sheet. Does he go to Ipswich for that? I think that remains to be seen, but there's going to have to be a lot of improvement in what he's done, at the very back end of last season and the first 3 games of this. So, yeah, it hasn't really concerned me, that one. It's, nice bit of cash, probably the best bit of business. I'd have to go through the record puts and see, probably the best bit of business Luton have ever done, isn't it? You get someone free and sell them for £8 million a year later, and it's done you pretty well up until the injury. And, you send him away on best wishes, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We should obviously offer the caveat that the club did announce it as an undisclosed fee because they're going to try to replace him. They don't want the opposition or the teams that we're signing from to know the fee. We're not the football club, so therefore we can quote, as I say, reputable sources that suggest that it is going to be a deal of £8 million. Andros Townsend's had a bit of a time of it, hasn't he?
Oh, wow. I mean, I feel sorry for him because that absolute limbo, but then also there was one of his comments that said, he thought it was the right thing despite many, many red flags. And you're like, well, which one is it? It probably was a good deal. He wasn't going to get a lot of game time for Luton and maybe didn't want any championship. He's played his whole career in top flight, hasn't he? So maybe go abroad.
46 games, short space of time. Yeah, that's thought he's not getting any less creaky, is it? So, yourself with a week in the sun, going out to Turkish sunshine, it's going to be much nicer on the body than, I don't know what the chicken feet are like out there, but it's going to be much nicer on the body than it is dragging himself around the muddy pitches of England in November, December, January, isn't it? And ultimately, if, Rob did make a full answer on this, didn't he, in his pre-match press conference for Preston. Ultimately, if he can't guarantee him regular starts, and I don't think anyone has Andros Townsend down as a regular starter, if he's taking off one of your 25 places, you kind of want little. If you've got another 21 player who's not getting registered, who's not getting regular starts, let's say, for example, Zach Nelson, that's a different story. Whereas if Andros taking that out, really, if you're only getting 10 and 15 minutes out of him, your squad's down to 24, isn't it? You're just wasting a spot. So it did seem like an adult conversation, and everything around it seemed understandable and acceptable. And then Andros made that confession on the Monday Night Club on BBC 5 Live on Monday, and it just sounds like the most basket case of all basket cases.
Well, I brought it up on the podcast when we talked about the deal being a potential, that I'd looked into the club and the imminent transfer ban, and it does seem like an absolute basket case. And I don't know how that gets resolved or how quickly that gets resolved. Their transfer window, I think, goes to September 12th, I think. Right. So there's still extra time for him to get that deal over the line. But they're telling him that he's their player, he signed a contract. Now, what I don't, because I've been away and only came back from the sunshine this morning, what I don't know is if that means they've bought him off Luton or the contract was cancelled. I haven't been able to ask this question yet. But is there money involved for Luton? So what does that mean for Luton? Presumably, because he signed a contract to 2026?
Yeah.
Look, you don't cancel that, do you? The saleable asset. So is there money coming to Luton? Have they already got it and then doesn't matter and then half on the way to the bank? Or is this still predicated on whether they can actually get the deal ratified by the Turkish Football Association as to whether the money comes? I don't know.
And if they can't, does he come back? Because if he comes back, presumably we're going to name our 25-man squad Saturday, the transfer window closing Friday night. If he's not back by Saturday, which he's not going to be if they've got until the 12th to complete the deal, that's leaving him in all sorts of, just particularly if we replace him, so that we fill a 25-man squad and there's no space on it. It's, lots to be worked out there. The interesting thing with the Chieo departure, though, was we'll go to QPR, and as I say, Rob's named a strong side, a much stronger side than I fully expected it to be. I certainly didn't expect to see Adebayo and Morris on the starting lineup down QPR. But actually, when you think about it, he's trying to get a goal into them. And as you saw the 90 minutes play out, you can see why he's trying to get a goal into I mean, the confidence is so low, it's buried underground and then at the minute with them two. I didn't really expect to see Chom. Only in light of the fact that we played on Friday night, not for 1 minute suggesting that Rob doesn't take this competition seriously, because actually, if you think back to the first round last year, it was a strong side that he went with against Gillingham, and no one expected that. So, and then, yeah, I mean, he'd already confessed that McCampbell was going to play. Didn't expect him to start. I thought we were talking 20 minutes off the bench kind of scenario. 45 minutes into McCampbell, got Berg back, 45 minutes, got Mads back, 45 minutes, we had Ruo Walters. But we played a back four. And do you know what would have been perfect for that wide right position? Chieo Ogbene. So it's a weird one. But so all the concerns that I had coming away from Deepdale on Saturday, they're not all been answered. But I feel so much more positive about life sitting here on a Wednesday night after that QPR game than if we'd have done this straight after the Preston game. There was a lot to like last night. There's still stuff that don't like, but there was a lot of things to like last night.
Yeah, and it's a penalty shootout at the end of the day. Let's not out of the competition. The one thing that is disappointing, as it has been in many seasons past, recent seasons past, is you're out of the competition quickly, which means you don't get the chance to, give players minutes as you would like, particularly with the amount of players are going to be coming back or potentially signed and need that. So that's disappointing, but you're creating as many chances as were created. It's a positive. If you weren't creating them and not scoring, that's a problem. So basically, you've got someone like Liam Brache on the pitch and playing like he does. It's huge, much more competition in the midfield now. And you've still got Kraus to come in as well. And whoever they might sign, who knows. I thought Shandon Baptiste looked quite sharp. There was a particularly good move with him involved. So all of that was really positive. It's just sticking it in the onion bag, isn't it? Really, that's the thing.
That's it. That is it. I mean, the annoying thing is the bit we're shit at the minute is the most important bit, both boxes. So let's quickly go through this game. We'll go through this game in a bit more detail, actually, because obviously it's the most recent one. Kaminski's back in goal, despite the rumours of earlier in the day that Leicester are going to sign him for 10 million quid. I have to say, if that is an official rumour that is true, I'll buy the train tickets, because I love Kaminski. He's a great guy. We interviewed him down at the training ground. He gave us loads of time and everything else. But there is no way on this planet we can't replace him with 10 million quid. How about 32-year-old. Arguments over whether he is actually number one ahead of Chieo or not. I still think he is. But you don't really need him shoveling the ball straight out to an oncoming attacker too many more times like he did last night. Because that first shot, I've seen harder shots than that hit. And goalkeepers hold them. And he had so much time to push that around the post. To shovel it straight out to the geezer, I mean, he's also out of confidence, I think, Kaminski, and maybe that red card has affected it.
Yeah, I mean, his start to the season has not been good. It's one of these players that he's got a lot of credit in the bank, isn't it, from last season. Shot stop.
You do kind of wonder if there is truth in this rumour about Leicester, and it's kind of got in the old noggin, and he's wondering if he's here, there, or where he is. He doesn't seem the confident goalkeeper that pitched up this time last year.
No, he doesn't. That incident in QPR from goal, and obviously the flash madness of getting sent off at Pompey doesn't strike you as such. And maybe it has. It's one of these situations, I think, as with Chieo. Last season, loved the guy. This season isn't quite working. Maybe, Roth has already admitted to it's been an uncertain time for some. Maybe he's won the chance to go back into the Premier League as it was with Chieo. The allure of that, how much does that hold on your attention? I can't imagine for 1 minute that he'd been first choice at Leicester, though. So this is the thing, though. We look at it as people that are players. Most players have got this relentless optimism that they can go there and force their way in. But I think the realism that we deal with is that he wouldn't be first choice. He'd be going there. Mate, he'd be on much better money, of course, but he wouldn't be playing every single game that he did last season. and whether he plays at all, because you're goalkeeper. Unless you're Arsenal, you're not chopping and changing as goalkeepers, are you? So it's a real strange one. But at the same time, from a business sense, and if that 10 million is true, you snap them off, don't you? Because there's already rumours of them going after Travers. I know that could get scuffed by Palace if you believe one particular report. But there's options out there. If you get 10 million for him, you got him for nothing. 500,000.
We had, again, undisclosed fee. We had to pay back for something, didn't we? No one really knows what it was, but it's only worth 10 million quid and nowhere in the vicinity. You're looking at the maximum 5 times your money, again, in 15 months. I mean, you're up the lines of, in terms of value deals, you're running par with Chieo, really, aren't you? And you're right, with goalkeepers, they're so much easier to replace in terms of there's only one that can play in any club. So, but they've all got 3 or 4. So,
and is anyone going to be worried if Shea's number 1? They're not, are they? Because everybody loves him, and he's proven himself in the game played. And it's 15 minutes in the Premier League where he's pulled off that world. So everybody loves James Shea, and he's a perfectly good, safe pair of hands. And I don't think anybody too concerned. That's not to say I wouldn't imagine they'd try and go against somebody else. Well,
they would have to, wouldn't they? I mean, you look at the bench on Saturday, Horlick was on the bench. I know Krul's still died about the place, but just based purely on those cup performances last season, you wouldn't want to be an injury away from him being a regular in the Championship if you're trying to get promoted. No disrespect to anyone involved with that. But for 10 million quid, you can replace and still have a tidy note with some left over to sort your problems out at the other end of the pitch. Or you just do what we did when we got promoted out this league the last time and get a season-long loan to cover you for this season from the Premier League. Hopefully someone better than Horvath, but, we still got promoted with him. Go and get a season-long loan and then deal with it down the line. There's so many options with regards to that. I mean, you look at the goalkeeping situation. Now, I'm not for 1 minute suggesting Aaron Ramsdale would ever come down here, but he's been floated around all the Premier League clubs. So whoever he ends up landing at, he's going to push someone further down the pecking order at that club. So there's going to be an option, presumably, to go and find. So if it's Southampton, whoever Southampton number 2 is.
I heard Ajax today, so I don't know the Ajax goalkeeper is.
Well, whoever it may be, I mean, Wolves is another one. But you know what I mean? Over the coming days, it looks like Ramsdale's going to leave Arsenal. If he leaves Arsenal for a Premier League club, it's going to be a Premier League goalkeeper that becomes available, even if it's only on the season loan, even if it's only on a loan till January and we sort it out there, because we haven't got time to find the one that we want right now. Ultimately, if 10 million quid is coming our way for Kaminski, it's another one, 32 years old in October. Very, very, very good shot stopper. Realistically, if Luton play how many expect Luton to play this season, how many shots is he going to have to save anyway? 50% of the ones that he saved last season, if that.
Yeah, I mean, you stick Mr. Gamba in front of the defence, and if that happens, and the same effect of this in the Championship last season, teams are going to be having pot shots from very long distance, which you expect any goalkeeper to try and save, So, I mean, that's the ideal scenario. But yeah, it's one of those that if it happens, if that's on the table, I think you can take it.
Yeah, exactly.
All day long, take it.
Yeah, you have to. Like I keep on referencing, we got promoted out of this league with Horvath last time around. No disrespect, but if you saw Cardiff's first goal a couple of weeks ago, there ain't much proof about Horvath just yet. So yeah, back for QPR. So we started the game. We played 2 different kind of central back pairing. But we started the game. Alfie at left back. Didn't expect him to start either. Thought Jay Johnson would play. Alfie, Amari Bell, Riesberg. Really good to see Riesberg back in. Did his 45 minutes, no problem. And Rue Waters was right back. In front of them, it was kind of. There was times where it was 4-2-3-1. There was times where it was 4-1-4-1. There was times where it was just flat out 4-4-2. And then there was times where it was 4-3-3. That kind of shows what I've been saying, the flexibility that we would have by playing a back 4. And then there were other times where Clark went forward and Amari Bell from left back did the Pep Guardiola left back scenario where he went in alongside Nakamba and created even more attacking possibilities. That's why I really like the back 4, not just because I think it suits our defence, because Rue Waters looks an absolute out-and-out machine right back. But, it just gives us so much more opportunity to get the ball forward. and get players forward, more importantly. And that's how it proved. And of course, we've had to come from behind again from disappointing goal. Not just the Kaminski situation. The way it got that far was really, really bad, really. No one went to the original runner. The geezer who had the first shot, he's run completely unmarked from midfield. And then no one's tracking the geezer in, he taps it in. But the response was really, really good. Go down the other end, we get a corner. Alfie's aimed it for Morris. I mean, that's the only one really on the pitch that you could aim it at, apart from Reece Burke, who was getting well marked. Thankfully for us, it's come off the top of Morris's head. It's landed at the feet of Zach Nelson, 20 yards out. Don't think anyone thought what was about to come was going to come. But my God, he unleashed a rocket, Alfie style at the other end last time we were there. Unstoppable, really. And what a way to cap your first goal for the club. I mentioned, didn't I, one of the reasons why I expect Joe Taylor to leave this club is because they see Zach Nelson as an attacking player. There's your evidence.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult skill to hit that ball as well, because it did not move from its trajectory. It's, very, at the point he hit it, is how it stayed hit. And if he's got that in his locker, that's a great boost for Luton. He's been talked up by Edwards all summer, isn't he? And maybe it is his time, and wouldn't everybody love that? If it's a shame Luton didn't win that game, because he'd get much more of that. It was shared a lot on social media, but there'd be much more talk of Zach Nelson, for sure. And if it's going to be he gets more game time because Joe Taylor doesn't, does that negate people's feelings about Joe Taylor, which we have talked about at length in previous podcasts? So if people want to look at that, you gave a very good explanation as to why Joe Taylor probably isn't going to play. I might work here, but we'll go somewhere else and will be fantastic for wherever he goes to. I don't think he's the saviour that everybody's making out, or has done in the Hammers since the QPR defeat, but
neither is he in front of Corley Woodrow in the pecking order, by the way. Corley Woodrow, the reason why Corley Woodrow is in front of Joe Taylor in the pecking order in Trafford is twofold. One, he scored goals in the Premier League. He's also played for England under 21s. He's had a career or a lot of his career in the top flight of English football. Okay, he dropped down to get first team football at Barnsley to work his way back up again, and that's absolutely fine. But there's one reason. The other reason is Corley Woodrow can play up front, and he can also play as a number 10. Joe Taylor can't. He can only play up front. And as we said before, his greatest asset is running off the defender's shoulder, getting in on goal. And there's no doubt in that Joe Taylor's a good finisher. He's an absolute fantastic finisher. We saw it at Wembley. But those chances are just not going to present themselves. And when they do present themselves, i.e. on Saturday, when he's 1-on-1 with the defender, he has to outpace him and go past him and go in on score. Now, Alfie was getting past that guy at will. Chong was getting past that guy at will. Joe Taylor didn't get past him. And if you're busting your balls to try and get in this side, like many people are hoping that he does, in the ruthless world of association football, you have to get past this guy. You have to go in on goal. And whether you score or not, you have to create that chance for yourself, because you don't go looking for the ball. You can't link up play to the levels that Morris can, to the levels that Chong can, Clark can, Woodrow can, and others can. If your string to your bow is pace and finishing, when you get the opportunity to go past the defender and get in on goal like he had in that Preston game, and indeed the Portsmouth one with the lucky ricochets and get through, you'd have to make an impression when those chances come, and quite simply he didn't. Was Woodrow good last night? Not particularly. Had a shot at goal, tame shot at goal, and of course he missed a penalty, and that was unfortunate. It would have been very, very, very nice had he scored that, not just because he would have had it on level terms, but ultimately a lot of people seem to be judging Corley Woodrow on what he's done in the league share. I don't actually recall him starting a league game since he come back. I'm pretty sure he's beyond 50 appearances for us now. So they're all off the substitutes bench. Largely they're 5 and 10 minutes here or there. However, I reference the goal he scored against Norwich quite often. The goal at Crystal Palace that earned us a point. And there's a couple of assists in there as well. Was it the Bournemouth game where he crossed from Morris to Morris to score in the last minute? And there was another one as well. You know, this guy, when he does come on, impacts the game. Not every time, because no one comes off the bench and impacts it every time, but he does impact it. And then if you want a third reason, He's a fantastic character around the training ground. He knows his position in the squad right now. That's not to say that he doesn't want to start, but he's not kicking up a fuss that his position right now is as first choice of the bench. Whereas I get the impression, and I've no facts to back this up, only his demeanour when he does come on the pitch, and get the feeling Taylor thinks he should be in the team.
Yeah, that's part of the optimism of being a footballer, isn't it? And backing yourself, and we footballers will see it differently to how people from the sideline see it. But you've got to have that as a footballer. Otherwise,
So you don't get to the top if you don't believe it.
you'd be crushed under the weight of expectation and everything that comes along with being a footballer. If you didn't have the thinking in your mind that you're the best, and you deserve to be there. I think that's a good attitude to have.
But again, not criticising him for that one little bit.
Blame for that, but yeah, to bring it back to Zach Nelson, he's showing a lot. He showed more in that game as well, other than just the goal. There was a lot of good play from Zach Nelson. And he's 19. He was in and around that squad last year, Premier League squad, in and around great players. Last part, Sam Diakonga, Andros Townsend. Yeah, whereas Joe Taylor was at 2 lower league clubs. You've got to take these things into account.
He hasn't scored a championship goal, Joe Taylor.
But yeah, exactly. There's that as well.
Woodruff scored goals in the Premier League. He hasn't scored a championship goal. We don't know for sure, and we're not in a position where we can find out. But if everyone wants promotion, we're in a position where we need someone to start scoring. Now, I understand people are saying, well, Elijah's not scoring and Morrison's scoring. Well, they scored 21 goals in the Premier League last season. You give them the benefit of the doubt until we get to sort of 10 or 15 games where they haven't scored. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, actually, something's up here. 3 games you don't. You know what you've got with those two. You know what you've got. You're guessing at what you've got with Taylor, really. And we're not in a position where we can guess.
I suppose the devil's advocate position of people that clamour for him is like, well, try him, you never know. But also, try Zach Nelson, you never know. He scored a worldie and had a fantastic game. Quite rightly, he was pointed out by Edwards after the game for his performance. And, if he's 19 doing that and he's seen what needs to be done at top flight level, wouldn't Luton fans prefer it, one of their own, to be there than Joe Taylor? I don't know. It's one of those where you're sort of guessing and hoping for the potential of both, but maybe Zach's is a bit further ahead.
And also the difference between the two, as I just alluded to, Zach's not in the 25-man squad. It's got 2 more years before he has to be registered. So anything that he can give us is an added bonus on top of the 25. Joe Taylor lost that luxury last season, in the close season. He now becomes a member of the 25-man squad. And as we just said with Andros Townsend, if Andros Townsend's only getting 10 or 15 minutes, and there's no way Taylor's getting any more than that. So when Jacob Brown back, he goes even further down the ranking order. Again, you're wasting a place on a guy that, A, you don't know if he's good enough for the level right now anyway, and B, he's only going to be playing surefire cameos in one position. Woodruff can play them in 2 different positions. Maybe if we do go to a 4-3-3, he can play the wider attacking areas, judging by that cross that he put in. For Morris against Bournemouth, for example, I would wager Joe Taylor's not going down that side, putting that cross in for Carlton Morris, or at least I'm not seeing it in any of his loan deals that suggest that he does. He's literally between the penalty box, on the shoulder of the defender, Michael Owen-esque, if you will. And that's not where we're at. We'll come on to transfers in a minute, but I also think there's another forward coming in as well, which would even more send him down the pecking order. But yeah, Zach Nelson, not just the goal, got down that right hand side, put an absolute peach of a ball in. Morris is going to tap it in. Everything's going to be hunky-dory. We're away and gone. The skipper's got a goal. We're going to win the game, because if we'd gone ahead, we'd have won the game. Because, you only had to look at the attendance. I think it was 7,000. They have one stand down the side completely shut. They took the Carabao Cup for what people supposedly have the Carabao Cup down as for just an inconvenience sort of thing. And out of nowhere, the defender came and just got there first. And it was like, because the cross was brilliant. The cross was everything that we wanted Chieo to do, get past the man, get it across to a man that's waiting. But the defender just took it off Morris's toes. And then I suppose you kind of don't want to judge Zach Nelson by all the other players because he's still young. But I guess he would want to be judged by all of the other players because that's the way he gets improvement and into the team. He has to score in the last minute. He goes past the defender. He's got a clear sight of the goal, and it just pulls it wide of the goal. If you're going to get in the team ahead of anyone who may come in, or those that are here, that's got to find the bottom corner, win the game for your team, and you're almost guaranteed to play Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be part of his life.
It's harsh. I'm being harsh. You are, because I'm being completely harsh on the guy, but these are the standards that he will judge himself on if he wants to improve, I suspect.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's one thing that you put on the cons list and you put on the pros.
So much across, so much to like about the general play.
The attacking intent, and it's that youthful fearlessness, I guess, that just says, right, I'm going to take you on, or I'm going to try and make things happen, be progressive. I really like that about him. And if he can use that as a base point and keep moving forward in his career from that point of thinking, he's going to do really well. That will benefit the attacking, fast-paced style that Edwards wants to play. For me and probably everybody else, certainly my Arsenal mates, I was frustrated beyond belief in the summer at Declan Rice for England, who just passed it sideways and just rarely ever lifted his head up to go forward. And my Arsenal mates weren't having that, but he absolutely is the crab. And he just went sideways. He was so frustrated. Have a young player that lifts the head up and tries to be positive. I can only assume that's probably part of his game anyway, but he would have seen Ross Barton doing the whole of last season. I'm having a bit of myself.
And you've linked that brilliantly into the remainder of the positives from last night. Marvellous Nakamba. Not only does he win the ball back, he just gives it in front of him to the geezers who are better at doing the attacking side of the game than what he is. So he wins the ball back, he gives it to Clark. He wins the ball back, he gives it to Sean. He wins the ball back, he gives it to Nelson. Never gives it away. 45 minutes, I don't know the exact stats, but he certainly didn't give it away in dangerous situations like I would be guilty of doing, certainly against Burnley, for example. So good to have him back. He can only do 45 minutes. That's absolutely fine. Been out for 9 months. Wouldn't want him to do any more than 45 minutes. And Rob has strongly, you put a strongly worded thing out. Don't expect to see him Friday night because we are managing his way back. I still fully expect to see him Friday night because I've heard, I've read this book before, but I don't expect him to start Friday night. But then he was replaced by Liam Walsh. And by God, before we got a forward passer there, this guy, not only is he so comfortable on the ball, he really is in the Ross Barkley mould of comfort on the ball. Rob said his passing range is fantastic, and I can see why he said that. And I've actually looked through his kind of career, Walsh, and every manager that's brought him has said the same thing. He's got a brilliant passing range. Now, obviously, we all know the caveat is that he hasn't played many games because of injury. There had Ross Barkley, and that all worked out fine. He played a ball last night, a reverse ball into Elijah, who was on the shoulder of the defender. It was unbelievable, the pass. I mean, perfect weight into Elijah's stride. Elijah's past the defender. To be fair to Elijah, he's so short of confidence. He didn't know whether to shoot and have a go from an awkward angle or try and find someone in the box. The kind of chance he got caught between two minds. But the pass, when we've got a confident striker on the end of that sort of pass, that's ending up in the back of the net 9 times out of 10. But just the fact, he always wants to be on the ball. I'm always a sucker for a geezer who wants to be on the ball. I love it. That's why I loved Ross Barkley so much, because he always wanted to be on the ball and has an end product when he's on it. No point otherwise, is there? But the passing was brilliant. As I said earlier in the podcast, got tackling on him as well. He wanted to take set pieces. I mean, at one point, I thought he was going to literally get down on his knees and beg Alfie to take a free kick. And as it turned out, it was, Alfie took him. But I referenced about the same corners at Preston, and they were all the same again last night. 13 of them last night. Sorry, 12 of them last night, 13 of them game 4. 25 corners now. Dear me. But on one of them, Walsh went short for it. Now, Alfie was never playing it to him. But he went short. And what happened? Man comes out of the box to mark the short corner. Opens up a bit more space in the box. Mads Anderson gets his head on the ball. He should probably score. Certainly should have done better than what he did do. But just by something as simple as man coming short, taking a man away, create a little bit more space, the delivery that Alfie's put in, which was exactly the same as it was on Saturday, gets on a Luton head. Okay, Mads Anderson's taller than lots of people that he would have been aiming for any other time. But there was more space. There was a little bit of nuance to it. There's a bit of clever thinking. Okay, I'm not going to get on the ball here, but they don't know that, and I'm going to help my side. you can just tell he is a clever footballer. I always think, I don't know why, and I don't know if I'm stereotyping this, but I always think people from Liverpool tend to be clever footballers. You know, they think you often hear about
stereotyping and they'll go with that.
I mean, yeah, exactly. But you often hear about them playing like street football and things like that up there, don't you? Whereas sort of down the south, you can't really do that sort of thing. But he strikes me as a clever footballer and a good footballer. Really looking forward to seeing how he goes. And if we're going to stick with a back four, and if the news of Mengi today is anything to go by, you would imagine we're going to if we're losing the best centre back. He could have a serious impact on our season, Walsh.
Yeah, and this is why when they were mulling over a deal after in training for a couple of weeks, it didn't go some. I said that it's not as clear cut as just going, oh, well, he got his injury record, it's bad, you shouldn't go for him. The deal would have been good anyway because he was a free agent. He's got great pedigree. It's not like he's Darren Anderton and getting lots of nearly different injuries. That's a reference for the kids anyway, isn't it?
That is. You can always the Oasis come back. You've signed peak 90s England footballer.
Yeah, proper football, that was the 90s. But, you know, he ruptured an Achilles. That's a rough injury for any footballer to have to experience. That was a Swansea. And they just didn't get to see him enough, which is why he became out of contract. They didn't renew that. So I think, you know, all the talk about him, if you take all the talk about him up to the point where he went to Swansea and assess it in that way, without the injuries, and I know everyone's jittering about injuries because we've had more than half their share of them. Hopefully that's easy, touch wood. But yeah, he is a creative player that can do that. And I think that it was also the point of him fitting that mold. He's hungry to do well because when he went to Swansea, I think he would have seen that as a perfect team for him. They play the ball a lot. He would have been on the ball quite frequently to do what he did. Didn't work out because of injury. Now he's got to go and prove himself somewhere. Why not Luton? And I think the early signs of what we're seeing is that they've pulled off a great deal.
Yeah, I really like him. I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot more of him. I'm bugging if I can pick 2 or 3 midfielders, the options that they've got, because like you said, Shandon Baptiste came on and was equally as influential with a couple of the moves as well.
And we weren't saying this 3 weeks ago. We were worried about midfield. I think everybody was, rightfully, but a couple of deals like that change everything. And, you know, now it's not the midfield I have to worry about, is it?
Yeah, that's it. Halves back. So good to have Mark back. I don't think I've ever met a Luton player who's as nice as this geezer anyway. He's just such a top bloke. I mean, you only have to look at what his foundation's done and everything else. But we just love him. You know, you can tell that the players on the pitch love him. He just does that. He's just that person, isn't he? He just wants to do the dirty work. He's really got no interest in the limelight or anything else like that. He'll just do his job. And I don't know how long it's going to take for him to get back to full fitness, but I do know that when he is back to full fitness, the Town are going to fly again because he's just influential in the middle of the park.
And it will feel like a new side. It's been away for that long. 9 months in football was ridiculously long time. So much has gone on. It's one of those where, you know, the injury process was so bad at such a pivotal point last season. He was a key factor of it, where we're left wondering how would we still be in the Premier League if all those injuries hadn't happened, particularly, you know, to him, to, you know, Tom, and the defenders in particular. And I always think, yes, I think Luton would be in the Premier League. And, you know, we're now in a situation where we're not, you have to take medicine there. That's how it goes sometimes, isn't it? But to have Miles back would be exactly like that, in you signing. And, you know, when all the clamour was, when there was no transfer business being done, and only Baptiste and Wolves have been players signed very early, something people are saying, what the hell is going on? Well, there were a hell of a lot of players coming back, and they're close to coming back. We were always thinking the international break was when things would start to change, if maybe changed a bit earlier than that. You're going to get 4 or 5 new players back that you haven't seen for a very long time, and changes your options. The options that weren't there before, the worries that were there before, slightly get eased. So I'm not worried about midfield now. And I still think there might be another one coming in.
Yeah, it may well be. Mad's back, 45 minutes. Burke back, 45 minutes. Obviously, Bell did another 45 minutes as well. So Bell's now done roughly 70, 90, 45. So he's kind of there now, isn't he? You know, he's lying the selection. I still think they'll try and get more game time into Mads and Burke before they risk starting him. But you've got McGuinness to come back on the weekend. He was cut down on Tuesday, of course. And you've got Tom Holmes, who came on for the second half as well and put in a couple of important blocks. And he started to read the game, get in front of the striker and bring the ball out a little bit more. And everyone said that couldn't happen, but he's starting to do that.
They might have been running first. Well, I hold my hand up every.
I mean, to be fair, it's all I saw of him in pre-season as well. It's all we all did. But the beauty of him being 24 years old is he's got coaching potential, and we've got a coach who coaches upwards rather than some of the coaches that coach downwards. And again, the best out of them. So, yeah, so many more positives. Yes, we've still got to sort that final third out. And that was the really bad thing. Your colleague Mike Simmons posted on social media today a kind of alarming stat, really. The Luton have had 74 touches in the opposition penalty box Saturday and Tuesday. And, you know, and it's equated to one goal, which wasn't one of those touches because it was outside the penalty box. That is good. You'd much rather have 74 touches in the penalty box than not have them. But to then only equate to one goal, which wasn't one of those touches in the penalty box, that's where that last missing piece of the jigsaw is, really. And some of it's constantly chopping and changing around. Some of it's, players coming, going, and all of the sort of other parts of it. And you would imagine as things settle down and as the transfer window closes and Rob knows what squad he's working with and everything else, that will improve. Particularly, I mean, we have got two proven strikers there in Morris and in Elijah. And the fact that last night they played alongside each other at times, but Morris could drop in, or they went into a three when Zach went out on the right. And as I said, there's so much flexibility. I can't believe that's going to keep on happening. But we're in that situation where we was in with Elijah last season, aren't we? Where he just needed something to bounce in if his arse or whatever happens, just to get the ball rolling. We need a penalty for Carlton to just slot it in the bottom corner to get the ball rolling and things like that. And I mean, you kind of think back, he gave that penalty away in pre-season, didn't he, to Corley? Had he not have given it away and he scored it, would we have a different Carlton? As all hindsight and all, there, who knows what could have happened and what might have happened. But we know we've got two decent strikers. At some point, it's going to click. And at some point, if we keep playing the football that we've played, certainly last night, and some of the football that we played at Preston, albeit with a much quicker tempo than what we played at Preston, with the midfielders that are coming into this side and the passing range and the ability that they've got, someone is on for a Tonkin at some point, because we are just going to click. All of a sudden, it's just going to click. And when it does, those two have shown that they've got multiple goals. And 20 goals last season, last time we were in the Championship for Morris, 11 goals and 10 goals in the Premier League for them last season. There are goals in those two, but Jesus, we need them to come.
Well, that's the thing about those stats. And you look at them, just how staunching, bloody hell, that's good. But what you see in your eyes is different. It's not played in the statistics table or chart, isn't it? Yeah. What you see in their eyes is that they're creating these chances. Also, as we've talked about Walsh just then, them players are going to have to get used to making runs that he can find anything. I think that led with the football, but they're going to have to get used to that. They're going to have to fine tune that. He's been in for 4 weeks now, probably just shy of 4 weeks. So that's not a lot from times away for pre-season, really. They're going to have to get used to that. But they will. And if they're creating the chances, that's the most important thing. And when they do take them, I fully expect that it'll be like, the buses, the floodgates will open as well. Two very contrasting abilities there, are granted. But Elijah in particular is a confidence player. He gets one, he'll get two, he's very full, whatever. And that just needs to happen. It needs to happen quick, but I'll have it dragging on and stuff. But he'd be far more worried if running against Preston side that you saw and not creating anything really. So yeah, it's one of those that, yeah, it's a frustrating start, but it was frustrating in the last championship season. And look how that ended. It is a very, very long slog of a marathon from not a sprint. So yeah, get this game out away on Friday, hopefully back at home. So hopefully get a positive result there. Get your way to the international way. Those players come back, crowds available. Signings will be done and dusted, ins and outs, which looks like it's going to be an absolute merry-go-round at the moment. But and then we'll know where we are.
Yeah, we will do. Yeah. The only criticism is sometimes we've got to the byline in these two games and we just put the ball in rather than getting our head up. I mean, you look at the Preston goal, Dees, to be fair to him, Reese, I think it was, he's got his head up and he's picked the bloke out. It's not that we can't do that, because their goal on Saturday was the exact replica without the skill of Elijah at Wembley, cutting it back for Clark. Geezer running into the box and put it home. So we can do it. So these the guys that are getting in the box have just got to get their head up and pick a man out rather than just putting it in the area and hoping that the man's there, which is what we're doing at the minute. There was one time last night where Chong got into the box. There were 5 Luton players there. You've got to get your head up. There was one on the edge of the box. There was 2 sort of around the penalty box and 2 had gone into 6-yard box, and he just put the ball across. Them situations, when you're not under pressure, just get your head up, pick your man out. If the geezer misses the finish, and that's not your fault. But they're the kind of intricate things, and maybe it's because we got absolutely trolleyed on the first game of the season. We've been working so hard on sorting out the back line that we've kind of neglected a little bit of the forward line. There's only so many hours in the day. You can't do this, that, and everything, particularly when you've got midweek games coming on around it. But the key thing is we've got proven quality at the top end of the pitch. We have got some serious creativity coming in behind them. Rumours of more transfers coming in. I think the Town are in a good place, but we need some results just to rub a stamp here and calm everyone's nerves. But back to the League One season, it was probably October before we got going in that. We went to Barnsley, didn't we? And around about October, a TV game, 12:30. We lost the game 3-2, but we gave them a right good go. From that moment, we went on that silly unbeaten run that never stopped for 6 months or so. You go back to the season that James just referenced, the promotion season. We had 2 points after 4 games in the promotion season. We ended up getting promoted. Even the season prior to that, it wasn't great out of the blocks. For some reason, August, we're kind of like one of those animals that hibernates during the summer, aren't we? When we come out alive when the clocks go back. But we shouldn't.
It's not how you start, is it? It's how you finish. And exactly. All the concerns, well, most of the concerns, some are silly, but there are some legitimate concerns, which are, things that have to be ironed out, but I don't think it's a million miles away.
No, I agree. It's 1 win in 22 games if you include last night. That's not good. No one's accepting that. No one thinks it's good. There are caveats around it, injuries, Premier League, being unlucky, etc., etc., etc. But the bare number is 1 win in 22 is not good enough. But it only takes 1 win. Get us on the right. And the thing about this league, and I've said it so many times when we've done the podcast when we were in it for the 4 years previous, this is a 2-result league. You win 2 games, you fly up that table. You lose 2 games, you could be 7th, and all of a sudden you're 19th. It's a stupid league. You just need a bit of consistency. And that's coming in performances. It's just not coming in goal scoring. Let's finish this podcast with a few more transfer rumours, because there are plenty doing the rounds. Yeah, we've done the Kaminski one. We've done the Ogbene one, which is obviously now confirmed. We are pretty sure Teden Mengi is no longer going to be a Luton Town player. When journalists of the size of Fabrizio Romano, and I mean that in reputation, not figure, are reporting deals, generally he doesn't get it wrong. He waits until the dotted line's ready to be signed before he announces these things. He's not one of those sensationalists who's looking for clicks or anything else like that, is he? And it looks like Teden Mengi's going to be a Torino player before Friday night.
Yeah, it's got an enviable contacts, but fella, and an Italian as well. So you think he'd get the deals from Serie A, right? But that's one that's going to hurt until we know we won't know what the price is, presumably. But I don't want to see him go out for anything less than 20 million, to be quite honest. So, but Luton's always been a centre. I mean, pretty much everyone other than Real Madrid and Manchester City are selling clubs, aren't they? So, the rumours have been there for various clubs. I thought someone from Wolves,
Well, Crystal Palace have been a regular one, haven't they? It was in the gate situation.
last season Crystal Palace and Fulham were apparently looking at him, so we knew that the quality there. The fact is, he's ex-Man United. He's just in the England under-21s, and he's always going to be a highly prized asset because he played very well in his first Premier League season. He's 22, so at that age, and the fact that he's on a decent contract should mean Luton can get probably their record transfer fee for a player if he goes. And so in a business sense, that is good. To be known what the details are, but so I wanted him to stay.
Yeah, I think we all did. Ultimately, we also knew that it was going to be hard to keep everyone, particularly ones that, he's an England under-21 international, playing the Premier League last season. He's good enough playing the Premier League. Okay, he's going to Serie A, still top flight football. A heck of a lot more money, presumably, than what we can offer him. It's just it's an unfortunate one. It's one that you kind of look at it now that if he's going, he is. You kind of wonder if we'd have been better off with it happening when Ross Barkley went, so that we could have planned him. But McGuinness has come in. I don't know whether he came in as his replacement or whether he's now going to be his replacement. But you look at last night, and I'm not for 1 minute suggesting I wouldn't want Teden Mengi in our side. I do. I really would. We all love Ted. You only had to look at those two chasing clearances at Portsmouth to see the importance of him. But last night alone, you had Bell, Burt, Anson and Holmes all playing. You've still got McGuinness to come into that. We still don't know the situation with Tom, but there might be Tom down the line as well. We've got enough. We've got central defensive cover. Yes, he's our best central defender. There might even be a replacement coming in for him. We don't know. But ultimately, I think in the Championship, we can kind of do okay without Teden and the money that we're going to get, if that allows us to do a little bit of wholesale buy-in for the next couple of days. Then so be it. Yeah, you mentioned about record transfer fee incoming. That's got to be the bare minimum, hasn't it? We don't know exactly what it is because a lot of it's kept to itself, but the general consensus of the JJ deal was upwards of 6 million with the whole shenanigans, so the whole sign bits in play. You're looking at that, you double that as a base rate, aren't you, really, as a minimum?
But that was a League One player going to Premier League side, 5 years ago?
Yeah, I just wonder if they look at it. Obviously every deal's different, but Ipswich signed Greaves from Hull, didn't they? I think it was in the vicinity of 20 million. Well, Greaves didn't play in the Premier League last season. I don't know what his contract situation was like, but obviously Tedden's got a contract here. So you've got to be looking at that sort of area. I think I read somewhere Torino sold someone for 45 million euros recently. That's got to be on the agenda as well. What if that's the kind of money you've got, which is exactly why the club never announced what these fees are. If that's the kind of money you've got, we want a significant chunk of that if you're taking a first-team regular away from us.
Oh, exactly, because at this late stage of the game, in the transfer window as well, and by the reports of that they sent David McGoy back to Belgium with that deal looking like it was going to be done if you take the force from Belgium. Then you want full whack really for somebody of Teden Mengi's stature.
You mentioned him, assuming that there was nothing sinister in that, i.e. failed medical and they don't want to release it or something like that. If there was nothing sinister in it, simply we've got too many centre-halves. Do we go and revisit that deal now that we've got a centre-half less? And that'll be an interesting one over the next couple of days, won't it?
Well, yeah, it depends if the relationship is still good there, because I think he was over recently.
He came over during the Preston game, yeah.
So there's that to contend with. But I'm
guessing, whatever the relationship is, we would still be an upgrade. He's still upgrading himself from Liège to Luton, so you just got to football's happened behind you, and if we've still won him, forget it. Come on, play.
Yeah, I don't think they would have. I don't think it would have been a part in so bad ways. It doesn't strike me as Luton style really, but he isn't here. He has gone back and he is available for selection for Standard Liège. So that is a strange one. They probably have been the ideal sort of cover, wouldn't it? So we'll wait to see what that is. On the whole, like I say, I don't want to see Mengi going, but defence, and I said this last season before injuries took the hold, was never an issue. There was so much cover, so much options. And if it maybe forces the hand to go 4-4-2,
For anything.
yeah, exactly, then you've got so much. You've got enough there, plenty. Burke is first team ready all day long when he's fit. And so is Amari Bam. McGuinness has come in, you'll expect to be a first team ready as well. So already there you've got competition if it's a 4.
Vance,
or Mads, yeah, exactly. You've got enough cover for the Championship. You're not going to have to face Mohamed Salah around last year, are you? So I don't want to see him go, but business-wise, it probably would make a lot of sense if they can get a shed load of money for him, and then you just move on. Yeah. It's that's the one of all the players that left. I knew Barkley was going to leave. That annoyed me for a while. I knew he was going to go. And everybody did. And we talked about it from middle of last season. If this doesn't work out in the Premier League and you go down, he's gone. You just don't want to lose your best players, do you? And he was, and Mengi has been fantastic. He was brought in to be a backup running, really. Yeah, I think. Circumstances dictated that he came in and he had a wonderful season. So, yeah, there's always been this case of Luton, but you can't stand in the way of players if the deal is right. And at the back, just
yeah, this was always going to be the downside to relegation, obviously, of them playing Championship football rather than the Premier League one. This is going to happen. And whilst this transfer window stays open when the season starts, and Aguiz's performs as well as Mengi's performed in the first 3 games, and he's likely to continue to add to the situation. It really should be stopped the day before the season starts, but that's another story.
that is the other story, isn't it? Because I think Edwards has talked about it already. He's alluded to it being unsettling to 1 or 2. That's further an unsettling thing to see any of those players go. What does that mean for me now? I'm perhaps staying behind if you're another one of the 10 players. There is those elements, and that is a concern. So I'm not diminishing that in any way. I think it's a nonsense that you're playing a full month and still allow players to come in and out. What's the point in the transfer window? You may as well just let players like the old days be signed whenever you want throughout the whole year. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's completely manufactured. Sky Sports nonsense has led to have a transfer deadline day and have some sort of, will they, won't they interest, some sort of soap opera drama surrounding football, which doesn't really help anyone, particularly, for a team like Luton who have some very good players. They signed players to try and compete in the Championship, in the Premier League, knowing they're in the Championship. They have some very good players to try and come back again, and, to lose one of those is still disappointing over way, but I think the money is a good deal. We'll soften.
Yeah, you would imagine that on this situation, I mean, he's done it with Chieo, and he's sweet will do a proper right deal. In this situation as well, that sure, some incomings have been mentioned as well. Quick and go through some of those. Abu Kamara was on late reports of last season. Norwich City player. Apparently, us and Hull City are interested in him. He plays down the right-hand side, so my Portsmouth friends tell me. So he would be a Chieo direct replacement, pretty quick, shed loads of goal involvements in a Portsmouth title-winning side last season. Young, point to prove, hungry, score all the neon signs of a Luton Town sign in this one, so I can certainly understand where this one's coming from. Area of need as well would only increase it. So I would not be surprised to see the old klaxon going and Mr. Kamara in a Luton shirt in the next couple of days.
I hope so. That one's quite an exciting thing. But anytime you get a winger who's very positive in the way that you just described there, it's going to be a good team. It's exactly what we were hoping Chieo would be doing. He just haven't been happening for him. You know, ever since that injury at the back end of last season and certainly this season, there just wasn't anything there that we thought we'd get him with Chieo. And we hope that hope we can find him to Ipswich, but it's not our business anymore. So, the area of need because of that. If you can get somebody in that's just got an unwavering desire to run players and pass them across the ball, that's that.
Yep, scored goals, sets them up. Please come. Tom Cannon from Leicester, another one that would be rumoured with. Ironically, as we've covered Preston so much in this podcast, he'd been on loan at Preston. Another one who's came through the Everton set up as well. Striker, reports would suggest somewhere in the £6 to £7 million range, which generally you've got to pay if you're going to get any kind of championship striker these days. Based on what we've just said on strikers, any striker coming through the door to put competition on Carlton and Elijah would be welcome. I think it would officially be the exit door opening for Joe Taylor if a striker come in, because we've already got him 4th choice, 5th when Jacob Brown comes back. That would make him 6th choice. We're not going to hang around a guy who's got to be involved in our 25-man squad if he's 6th choice. Scores goals, this guy, Cannon, young, 21-year-old, kind of gone to the Premier League but not really made it there. Probably looking for a home now as well. You're kind of thinking Leicester, where he currently is, they seem to still be going down the Jamie Vardy route. Why not, with what Jamie Vardy did on the opening week of the season? More likely to get game time here. Once again, it feels like, and I think he can play a little bit deeper as well, it feels like a Luton Town signing.
Yeah, competition aspect is there. I think if they're firing, which they're probably not, the front three you've got there is a wonderful front three. You need somebody supporting, and I guess that's probably where half of the clamour for Joe Taylor comes in. They're like somebody different, somebody who knows what the goal is, but he's untried and unproven. And let's face it, if you're going to flog Chieo for 8 million, potentially Kaminski for 10, I'd want upwards of 20 for Mengi. You've got loads of money in the back pocket to splash, and £6 to £7 million, which is, probably got McGuinness for roughly in that region. That's not a lot to ask for an attacking player. If you're going to spend that much on a defender, I think that seems like it would be a good deal for you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Generally, successful sides have more than 2 strikers in their depth, don't they? You generally look at front fours these days in terms of squad depth. We've probably got 3, 4, but Brown is more all across the front line rather than a genuine. So I think a genuine striker is, I've always thought a genuine striker would be a position of need this season. Not immediate, has to come in and start kind of need, but you wouldn't want Elijah to get injured and have the drop off that we had like last season again this season. So if we could get another one in, that would be good.
I think you also need it. I think like this, but you have to be pragmatic. I think, you need an element of succession as well. At some point,
21-year-old.
At some point, Morris and Adebayo aren't going to be there, and you need somebody to come through. You need somebody jumping at the bit to come through and take the place. If indeed he doesn't, take it anyway by performances and form, goals or whatever. So, but players aren't often at clubs for 5, 6, 7 years these days, are you? And Brian has been here for a while, so.
But Morris isn't getting younger, is he, to be fair? 21-year-old Republic of Ireland international, relatively cheap by striker proportions in today's world. Yeah, I can certainly understand where that one would happen. The other one I saw floating about, it's gone a bit quiet actually, and I don't actually know if there was any genuine part to this or whether it's just, someone wanting clickbait. It's Patrick Roberts of Sunderland. I have to say, if we can get our hands on him, he was welcomed with open arms, because this guy is as technically good a footballer as the Championship has seen in a long, long time. Left-footed, plays on the right-hand side for Sunderland, can come in, can go outside, has an absolute wicked shot on him, can play the passes. I mean, this would be game changer levels, not just because he would boost us to the level that he would, but he would take so much away from Sunderland. And the one thing we've actually mentioned on this podcast is whilst we are losing players, but in the main, still keeping a strong squad. Some of the sort of promotion rivals, they are losing some players and yet to replace them. I mean, all sorts of weird shit coming on at Burnley, isn't it? Because they are losing players left, right and centre. I'm pretty sure
have 2 squads though.
they do. But I'm pretty sure I read earlier that their under-21 manager has had to walk out because he sent a WhatsApp to his under-21 group, basically slaughtering the first team and calling them lazy and everything else, and they've got too many players. I mean, when that sort of stuff comes public, you know that Sunderland have lost Jack Clark. I mean, Ipswich are doing us a right turn. They are taking literally everyone who's any good in this league and getting rid of them for us. Sunderland have lost Jack Clark, and if Roberts comes to us as well, that's another one that they would lose. They were the top 2 going into the weekend, but they played each other, weren't they? So there's that. But if we got Roberts,
I'd welcome working on. I think that's seen as pretty unlikely deal. He did seem what he'd on decent wages at Sunderland. They're flying at the moment. He's a first name on the team sheet guy for Sunderland in the unless they've got a lot of money to throw at that. That seems to me like that's an inquiry, but that's it.
Yeah, of the 3, that would be. I fully expect Kamara to come through the door. I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see Cannon come through the door. But I wouldn't be rolling out the red carpet for Roberts just yet. But he's ready, just in case he wants to walk down there. But I'm not sure. That one strikes me. That's more of a local journalist who wanted to get his name in the frame sort of thing, whereas the rest of them are all kind of reputable. When BBC sport journalists and the like get involved, then you know there's something to it, really.
Yeah, they don't really get too involved for Teden Mengi, do they, BBC? So, yeah, you would expect so. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't... If they all 3 came, it would be great, but Patrick and Roberts, I didn't really even have to read the story. I'm not sure about that. It seems to be clickbait to me.
That's exactly how I saw it. But the other 2, if they arrive at Kenilworth Road, that would be pretty good business in the forward end of the pitch. And then if we do get a Mengi replacement, and if Kaminski leaves and we get that replaced, I think all in all, people will be happy enough with the transfer window. There's always going to be an element of bit of a shame with Mengi, but we can move on from him. If we get the kind of deal that pays for these incomings with a little bit left over, so be it. But I mean, as we've seen in the last few games, the issues suddenly at the other end of the pitch rather than the back end of the pitch. So time will tell with regards to that one. But of course, keep your eye on the official club website for all of the news between that. It's just such a pain in the arse that we play on deadline night as well, isn't it? I mean, you know, how the hell can you check around the corner from the Maple to see if Peter Odemwingi's around the corner, or any cars that have got open windows or anything like that? It's, you know,
It is, but I
hate it, but when things like that happen, it does make you laugh.
yeah, I mean, that's one of the funniest stories that Sky Sports have got a transfer.
I mean, ironically, we're playing the team that Odemwingi was meant to be signing for, so maybe they'll drag him around the corner and have him waiting.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, but it's I think it's going to be a busy.
It has to be.
That's going to be a busy scramble towards the end of this window, but isn't, you know, for the people that are saying that nothing's happening, then that should placate them somewhat. But I tend to see that the goalposts of their moaning get moved quite frequently as to how, well, resolved that, there's something else now. But I think Luton are in a relatively good place. The results need to pick up, obviously. And it is kind of symptomatic of being relegated. It was nice to think that you try and keep the whole squad together.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, absolutely. But they earned all kinds of plaudits last season from neutrals as to how they went about their season. They didn't get the right ending of it, but that brought a hell of a lot of attention to the Town Football Club. And, you know, they got some incredible deals last summer. They got some early, they did them early, which was a different tier, but I think we'll be explaining in previous podcasts the knock-on effects of various elements of this summer and the football calendar being as they are, which has not helped this transfer window, you've seen that across the board for a lot of clubs, apart from the ones that are spending unbelievable amounts of money getting in players that they don't need. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes in, and we'll have to assess it again in the next podcast, won't we, as to whether they've achieved their stated goal of being stronger after the end of the transfer window. Seems to me that could be in a little doubt, but maybe they'll be stronger depth-wise than they were first team-wise, if that makes sense, from the last summer. So, yeah, we'll see. But we need to get some players to sort of faithfully or put the pressure on the players that are already there to score, because I think that everything else is sort of evening itself out from where we are or where we were at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And of course, this club always pull off a master stroke that no one gets any shared info on. You think of Nakamba, you think of, you've got Chiedozie Ogbene, even Lakonga, you think of so many in recent times. It wouldn't be a surprise at all if another incoming,
Even Mengi was...
Yeah, Mengi.
Really.
It wouldn't be a surprise at all if there's another incoming that we've not mentioned, but we've mentioned two there that we do think have got legs for coming in, or I hope they've got legs anyway. working ones too would be a handy situation. So that is the week that was all things Luton Town, slightly like a podcast of what we'd normally do, but we've covered 2 games and of course final week of the transfer window. Just before we leave, a couple of notices. If you're intending to go to the under-21 game against Rangers on Tuesday night, the Trust have put together a hospitality package for that evening. £30 ticket, which will get you a seat in the director's area, 2-course pre-match meal in the Eric Morecambe suite. Paul Benson will be a guest speaker, half-time teas and coffees, just a basic upgrade, a real upgrade on your normal match ticket for that one. We've just seen a star of that academy shine on Tuesday night, and who knows how many stars there'll be in that game. Not just from a Luton perspective, you may well also see some first-team players who need some minutes, get some game time in that game. But Rangers Academy must be able to churn out some decent players themselves, so it should be pretty good game of football. So if you are going down to Kenilworth Road and you do fancy watching the game in a little bit more luxury and a bit more style, £30 tickets. The link to book the tickets are on our website. Because of the short notice and the turnaround and things, we do have to stop taking tickets for that hospitality, 6 p.m. on Thursday. So a bit short notice for that one. But if you want to take advantage of that, please do. It's a really good night, and Paul Benson's a really, really good speaker, and I'm sure he'll give you all the updates on the academy and so much more. So do get yourself down there, if you can do. Also, the Trust are producing a new competition this year, the 100 Club. Cash prizes are available, and if you're a member of the Trust, you will have already had all the information that you need to join that competition. The first draw is in September, so you've still got time to join up and give yourself a chance of winning a cash prize, with lots of proceeds going towards Solid and indeed our supporters charity of the season. I should also say that for the hospitality tickets to that academy game, all profits are going to Solid, so you'll be helping the academy by doing that. That is it for this episode of the podcast. My thanks to James for coming back from his holiday to chew the fat of all things Luton Town. To you all for watching or listening, however it is that you've consumed this podcast. And of course to our new studio hosts, the Barber Club at the lower level in Luton. We really appreciate your support, guys. To Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music, and to Ed Smith Creative for the designs that you see on set. Until next time, which will be a preview of a game against, QPR again. From James and myself, come on you Hatters.
For me, it's the people and the spirit of the people as well.
I love this town. I love this town. I love this town. You know what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got this massive soul.
We're Luton people, and that's what we care about.